Acura dares to drive beyond standard. A torque-vectoring super-handling all-wheel drive system, standard in the Acura RDX. Panoramic moonroof and premium 3-row seating, standard in the Acura MDX. Sound that surrounds you, an 18-speaker Bang & Olufsen premium sound system comes standard in the all-electric ZDX, the Acura RDX, ZDX, and MDX, where precision meets craftsmanship. Visit Acura.com to learn more.
Close your eyes, exhale, feel your body relax, and let go of whatever you're carrying today.
Well, I'm letting go of the worry that I wouldn't get my new contacts in time for this class. I got them delivered free from 1-800-CONTACTS. Oh my gosh, they're so fast.
And breathe.
Oh, sorry. I almost couldn't breathe when I saw the discount they gave me on my first order. Oh, sorry. Namaste.
Visit 1-800-CONTACTS.com today to save on your first order.
1-800-CONTACTS.
In an age of dynasties, devotion, and duty, one woman refused to follow the script. Crowned queen as a child, Christina of Sweden was raised not as a princess, but as a prince, groomed to rule, trained to think, and determined to lead. Her court became a sanctuary for scholars, a haven for ideas, and a stage upon which the great questions of the 17th century were debated. But behind the intellect, behind the crown, was a spirit that could not be contained. Her reign did not end in conquest or quiet resignation. It ended in abdication, exile, and ultimately reinvention. Christina did not merely relinquish a throne. She defied a world that demanded she stay upon it. She was born into the illustrious House of Vasa, Christina Augusta, daughter of Gustavus Adolphus, the Lion of the North, and Maria Eleonora of Brandenburg, a queen as fragile as she was noble. At the moment of her birth, there was confusion. The midwives mistook her for a boy. She was swaddled in coarse hair, her cry low and commanding. After the loss of 3 infants, King Gustav did not lament the lack of a son. This child, this daughter, would be his heir. Christina received not a queen's tutelage, but a prince's training. Fencing, horse riding, bear hunting. She was molded for monarchy in body and in mind. At just 7 years old, the crown would find her, as her father fell on the battlefield at Lutzen in 1632. Christina did not inherit her kingdom through peace, but through sacrifice. In the early days of her reign, Sweden was not ruled by a queen, but by a council of 5 men. At the helm stood Axel Oxenstierna, a brilliant statesman, and the architect of Sweden's rising empire. It was Axel who became Christina's political tutor, guiding her through the complex web of diplomacy and power. At just 14, he presented her to the council, not as a child, but as a sovereign in waiting. And her mother, Maria Eleonora, shattered by the death of her husband, descended into grief and instability. She was deemed unfit for court and exiled to the quiet isolation of Gripsholm Castle. While one woman slipped into sorrow, another stepped boldly into the world of kings. As she grew into adulthood, Queen Christina of Sweden became more than a monarch. She became a force of culture. Known for her restless intellect and refined tastes, she gathered around her the treasures of Europe, artworks, rare manuscripts, and an extraordinary library, much of it claimed from the spoils of war, including the fabled riches of Prague Castle. But Christina's legacy was not only material. She ushered in Sweden's first national school ordinance and introduced its earliest newspaper. She made learning a matter of state. At her court gathered the greatest minds of her age, including René Descartes, whom she summoned from France to teach philosophy by candlelight in the icy mornings of Stockholm.
What does every USAA member have in common? Family. We're one big family who supports the military community and their eligible families. And if you, your parent, or spouse served, you could join our family and save big on auto insurance. Visit USAA.com/join today to check your eligibility. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
Sweden had become a northern beacon of Enlightenment thought. And then, just as her legend was taking root, she stunned the world. In 1654, Queen Christina abdicated the throne. Officially, the burden of monarchy was too great. But behind the veil of diplomacy lay more controversial truths. Her refusal to marry and a secret conversion to Catholicism in a staunchly Protestant realm. She passed the crown to her cousin and left Sweden behind. When she arrived in Rome, it was not as a queen in exile, but as a celebrated convert, welcomed by the Pope himself. Rome had seen queens before, but never one like her. Short, hunched from childhood injury, her face marked by smallpox, Christina of Sweden did not fit the mold of classical beauty. And yet, when she entered a room, all eyes turned. Her charisma was undeniable. The eternal city was dazzled, but dazzlement would not last. Though welcomed by the Pope, Christina quickly proved difficult to manage. She refused public acts of piety. She spoke her mind. She bent for no one. Restless once more, she began to scheme. Yearning for power again, she entered into secret negotiations to seize the kingdom of Naples, with plans to crown herself, then pass the throne to a French prince. But by 1657, it all collapsed. At Fontainebleau, she accused her equerry, Marchese Mondeleschi, of betrayal and had him executed, without trial, in the very halls of the French court. France was horrified. Rome, dismayed. Yet even scandal could not extinguish her star. Christina remained a magnetic force. She counted 4 popes among her personal friends and moved through Roman politics with wit and will. But she struggled with money. Swedish revenues arrived slowly, and her lavish taste did not help. She returned to Sweden twice, and during one visit, she even made a bid for the Polish throne. It failed. But Christina, true to form, shrugged it off and returned home to Rome. There she found deep companionship in Cardinal Deco Azzolino, a man as clever as he was discreet. Their letters, decoded centuries later, reveal a love history had only whispered about. Together they shaped church politics. Christina pushed for war against the Ottoman Turks, and when the time came, she gave up her papal pension to help fund the cause. By 1681, she had at last secured her finances. She poured it all back into what she loved most: art, music, and thought. Her home, Palazzo Riario, became a cultural sanctuary. Inside, the greatest collection of Venetian paintings in Europe. Poets, philosophers, musicians, all found a home under her roof. She didn't just admire brilliance, she cultivated it. She founded academies, opened Rome's first public opera house, launched the careers of Corelli and Scarlatti, and protected the aging genius of Bernini when others turned away. She was a defender of intellectual freedom, a friend to the Jewish community, and a generous patron of charity. Her vast library, overflowing with rare and precious works, lives on in the Vatican. In Rome, Christina staged her final act, not as a queen in exile, but as a woman entirely of her own making. She was buried in St. Peter's Basilica, an honor almost never given to women, let alone former Protestant monarchs. In death, as in life, she refused to be categorized. Christina of Sweden, a scholar, a sovereign, a rebel, and above all, a woman who belonged to no one but herself.